Empress Lu Zhi is held up in Chinese histories as the prototype of all that is wicked in a female ruler. Cold, ruthless and ambitious, she murdered her rival, the beautiful concubine Lady Qi, by amputating all her limbs, turning her into a human pig and leaving her to die in a latrine toilet. Today we'll explore the story of the ruthless Chinese empress. Born in 241 BC to a noble family in Shandong, Lu Zhi's father, Lu Wen, relocated the family to Pei County in Jiangsu in order to flee from a personal enemy. Lu Wen, being an influential man, received many visitors in the region and developed a close friendship with the local magistrate. One evening during a banquet hosted by Lu at the family home where guests were required to provide gifts worth at least 1,000 coins, one bold patrol officer named Lu Bang stepped up and declared offerings of 10,000 despite only bringing a single coin to the event. Lu Wen was so impressed that he offered him Lu Zhi as his bride, using his fortune-telling skills to predict a bright future for the officer. The couple got married, and Lu Zhi quickly bore Lu Bang a son named Lin Ying and a daughter, Princess Yuan. Shortly after, Lu Bang went on to participate in the rebellion against the ruling Qin dynasty, working with a prominent warlord Xiong Yu, and under the insurgent Chu kingdom, leaving Lu Zhi and the children with her father throughout the conflict. Following the fall of the Qin dynasty in 206 BC, Lu Bang was proclaimed king of Han while Xiong Yu proclaimed himself the king of Western Chu, marking a 4-year power struggle between the two known as the Chu-Han contention. Xiong Yu took Lu Bang's family captive during this period. However, eventually released them after a treaty was signed in 203 BC, only to be broken by Lu the following year, defeating Xiong Yu in battle and founding the Han dynasty as Emperor Gaozu over a unified China. With her husband's ascension, Lu Zhi was now the empress, and Liu Ying the crown prince. Empress Lu quickly proved herself as a capable administrator, often in charge of state affairs at the capital Chang'an while her husband was away fighting rebellions. Her policies are viewed to have had a positive effect on the country as she improved conditions for the poor, rebuilt sections of the Great Wall and increased state revenue. She was well respected by many of the emperor's ministers for her capabilities, but also feared for her ruthlessness. The first to feel her wrath were Han Xin and Peng Yu, both of whom had made significant contributions to Emperor Gaozu's rise to power. A year prior, the rebellion led by the Marquis of Yangxia against the emperor, Han Xin had a meeting with the Marquis, which raised suspicions of his involvement. Empress Lu summoned him to the palace and had him tortured and ultimately executed. As for Peng Yu, rumors circulated that he was plotting against the emperor. Empress Lu cunningly deceived him by leading him to believe that he would be allowed to return to his hometown in exile, only to have him intercepted on the road and executed on false charges of treason. In both instances, the empress also had their families and relatives put to death alongside them. During Emperor Gaozu's later years, he began to favor a new consort, concubine Qi. He had a son with her named Lu Rui who was instated as the Prince of Zhao in 198 BC. The emperor wanted to replace his eldest son, Liu Ying, with his new son as the crown prince, believing him to be of stronger character and likely to be a better emperor. Empress Lu, however, skillfully employed her political acumen to gather support from influential ministers, who convinced the emperor to reconsider his decision. They successfully persuaded him to maintain Liu Ying as the crown prince. However, concubine Qi and Lu Rui had made an enemy in the empress. Following Emperor Gaozu's death in 195 BC, Liu Ying ascended to the throne as Emperor Hui, with his mother assuming the position of Empress Dowager Lu and wielding significant power over her weak son. While she treated the other consorts of her husband with the appropriate respect based on their positions, her ruthless treatment of Lady Qi and her son has become the infamous tale in Chinese history. The Empress Dowager quickly arrested Lady Qi and had her locked in the palace. With Lady Qi in her grasp, the Empress ordered her head to be shaved before she was forced into hard labor, while at the same time summoning Lu Rui to the palace. The new Emperor Hui sought to protect his half-brother, but when he was out hunting, she poisoned the 12-year-old. The Empress then had Lady Qi's eyes gouged out, limbs cut off, and was forced to drink poison that made her mute. She was finally thrown into a latrine toilet. Lady Qi was then called the human pig by the Empress Dowager, and proudly displayed her handiwork to the new emperor, who was so horrified by his own mother's cruelty that he fell ill and abstained from running the empire. Two other half-brothers of the emperor also fell victim to the Empress Dowager. First was Liu Fei, who was saved from poison at a banquet by Emperor Hui, and only allowed to leave after promising to give up an entire prefecture of his lands. Next was Liu Yu, who had married the Empress Dowager's niece, but was caught by his wife having an affair. In revenge, she told her aunt that he was plotting a rebellion, and he was arrested, deprived of food and starved to death in prison. Emperor Hui married his niece Zhongyang at his mother's insistence in 191 BC. The new empress was forced by the Empress Dowager to adopt 8 boys for the childless couple and have their mothers killed. There is some debate among historians as to whether these boys were the emperor's children from other concubines or not. Whatever their parentage, Emperor Hui died in 188 BC, and one of these children named Shao became the emperor. Today he is not recognized as a Han Dynasty ruler, as held no influence over state matters, as the Empress Dowager assumed a new title of Grand Empress Dowager. The new emperor one day discovered his parentage and the fate of his mother, vowing revenge on the Grand Empress Dowager. In response, she ordered her ministers to remove him from his position and replaced him with one of his adopted brothers, who is equally not acknowledged as a legitimate ruler of the Han Dynasty today. Towards the end of her life, the Grand Empress Dowager had bestowed great titles on her family members of the Lu clan. Granddaughters, nieces, nephews, and grandnephews were all made princes and marquis of various regions, allowing the clan to amass great power. This period is widely regarded as a time when the ruling Lu family of the Han Dynasty held little to no political power throughout the country. The dominance of the Lu clan and their control over various regions further marginalized the Liu family's authority. However, this situation would eventually change following the death of the Grand Empress Dowager. When Lu Zhi died of an illness at the age of 61 in 180 BC, she was initially entombed with her husband Emperor Gaozu. In the following years, the Liu family took their power back from the Lu clan by having them removed from their positions. As a result of this power shift, Liu Hong, a son of Emperor Gaozu from another concubine, ascended the throne as Emperor Wen. Subsequently, one of Emperor Wen's successors, Emperor Guangwu, decided to separate Lu Zhi from Emperor Gaozu's tomb. He had her buried in a separate temple, symbolically distancing her from the imperial lineage and erasing her presence from the resting place of the ruling family. Lu Zhi's reign and influence spanning several emperors is a well-known story from Chinese history. She was the first woman to rise to the position of ruling the country, and through her political adeptness oversaw a period of peace and prosperity. However, her ruthlessness in dealing with her enemies is unsurprisingly what is most remembered from her life. Whilst the way and manner in which she had some of her rivals killed is certainly shocking to us today, it could perhaps be said that she saw it as necessary to preserve the dynasties, as well as her own position in power, not unlike many other royals in history.